Hi everybody, it's Russ from My Hammers 11. I hope you're all safe and well. News channel, please consider subscribing, hitting that bell icon so you're made aware of any time we have new content on. We have videos going up daily, but sometimes 2-3 times a day. And I won't want you to miss any interview, any story, any player interview, including today. You can see we've got, it's only bloody Shaka, wrong way, it's only bloody Shaka Hislop. The man played over 150 times for the club, 2 spells, played in the FA Cup final, and he's roasting because he's got no AC. Apart from that, how you doing, Shaq?
I'm all right. I'm doing good. I'm doing very well, right.
And just to allay anyone's fears, yes, he does have a Newcastle United, thing, but he's got a West Ham shirt, and so we're okay.
Yeah.
How you doing, man? How's life treating you in this sort of weird world we live in at the moment?
Very well, Russ. I have to say I'm one of the fortunate minority in that my work hasn't been too disrupted given the pandemic. As you may or may not know, I work with ESPN in the US, so we've been able to record from home. So thankfully, as I say, it's not been too bad in that regard, and my family and I have managed to stay safe so far.
So far, thank God for God. That's all that matters, to be honest, isn't it? Now, obviously, yeah, because I saw you and Frank Leboeuf having a bit of a spat the Chelsea game. That was quite funny. But it's good to at least have football back, so you've got something more to talk about. Something more than anything.
Right. Even in this strange footballing world of no fans and kind of the fake crowd noise that the broadcasters are piping through, it's good to have football back, and it's good that all the decisions around the season are gonna happen on the field, as opposed to let's extrapolate this, that, or the other. And there's huge value to that, and it shouldn't be underestimated.
No, you're totally right. And to some extent, it's good that football's back. West Ham have had a bit of a rocky, but it's the West Ham way, Shaka. We're used to it. So
listen, I accept that, but give me mid-table mediocrity over these, end of the season, bite your nails. Can we beat Chelsea again? And it's too much, Russ. Just give me mid-table. I'm taking it.
It's so true. We always moan we don't want to be one of those mid-table teams, but I think we'd swap anything for Newcastle or anything like that at the moment. I tell you.
Exactly.
But it is what it is. Anyway, the whole idea of the channel, Shaq, is to basically find out about his stories. Really, it's about understanding from a fan's perspective why they became a West Ham fan, and from a player's perspective how you became a West Ham fan. So obviously, you played for us in 2 spells, but that first spell, how did it happen? How did you get the call, and why West Ham, basically?
Well, listen. So in 1998, I think it was, where the Bosman ruling came into effect in English football, which said going out to contract, you could move on a free transfer. I was just going out to contract up at Newcastle. Kenny Dalglish had brought in Shea Given, so I felt the time was right for me to move away. My agent at the time, Jonathan Barnett, and Stellar Management, very close with Les Seeley, who was the goalkeeper coach and my goalkeeper coach at West Ham, and they reached out to me and asked if that was a move I'd consider. I spoke to Harry Redknapp about it, spoke to Les Seeley about it, had no inhibitions about the move at all, and it came together really, really quickly. I mean, it was done much earlier on in the year. I mean, eventually it was July 1st, I think, was the official transfer date. It was done earlier in the year and kind of put away in a draw, so to speak, between Harry Redknapp and Peter Storey, and I became a West Ham player. It was as simple as that.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, sometimes things like that just happen quickly, don't they? And I mean that year. I mean, obviously the season before that for West Ham, we'd had quite a few goalkeepers. We'd had like Bernard Lamar, and it was always chop and change. So it was nice to get a recognised number one in. And that season was. I mean, you won Hammer of the Year that season, I think, didn't you?
I did, yeah. 98-99 won Hammer of the Year. I won Hammer of the Year that season. We finished fifth, so brought European football back to Upton Park, albeit through the Intertoto Cup, but we brought European football back to Upton Park. And yeah, it was an extraordinary season. I mean, it was a lot of fun. Yeah. I think only two teams kept more clean sheets than us: Manchester United with Peter Schmeichel, and Arsenal with David Seaman. Okay. But I think we had something like the fifth worst defensive record over the course of the season. When we conceded a lot. We kept a lot of clean sheets, but once you got one bias, it you tended to get a whole lot bias in the end, and that was the story of our season. But as much as that may reflect badly on me as a goalkeeper in terms of the number of goals you conceded, it's the kind of team I like playing with Russ. That we attacked, we entertained, we had fun, and for me, and which is why I call myself a West Ham fan to this day, it's the most fun I had playing football. I didn't enjoy my football anywhere near as much anywhere else other than Upton Park.
Yeah, and I think that's why people warm to you, Shaka. And that sort of era, that Redknapp era, that we were very successful, but it was fun, and at the end of the day, we're never going to win the league. We'll be, we're not in it for the football. Being a West Ham fan, we've backed the wrong horse if that's the case. But but it's about being entertained, and you had some incredible characters in that dressing room throughout that time, and that's what people loved. They loved to be entertained, and obviously you had, certain Italians who got the headlines, but there was everyone. As you said, I can so see why that time was so much fun for you, because it was fun for the fans as well, and it was bounced off each other.
Absolutely, and I know we'll get into my team later on, but when you look at the personalities involved in that team, from Paolo Di Canio and his eccentric brilliance, to the likes of Razor Ruddock, Ian Wright coming in, they brought a personality to that dressing room that, listen, I wasn't there obviously before, but they came in, and Razor would come in before every game with his boombox, and it would be Elvis Presley in the dressing room before games and after games when we won. That was the kind of fun that we had, and Ian Wright, listen, Wrighty had his best years at Arsenal. There's no taking anything away from that. But him coming in with his experience and him just being one of the lads in the dressing room, I think had a very big effect on the likes of Frank Lampard, Michael Carrick, Rio Ferdinand, who went on to brilliance themselves. But as young players in that team, to share a dressing room with Ian Wright and see how he was just one of the lads, as I just say, how he carried himself, how he applied himself in the training ground, I think served those guys in their careers in a way that I don't think many people would recognize.
No, you're totally right. I can so understand that. And yeah, you're right. It's just, I used to, as a fan, they do say when you're sort of 16, 17, it's the music. That's the music you love the most. And I think that's the same with football.
Yeah.
That was when I loved football the most, because you said it was a crazy time. And as a player, you had Harry, doing a deal as well. You had the influx of these amazing young players coming through from the academy. It was such an exciting time. He said to finish fifth, and European and Intertoto Cups, and it was a great time. And as I said, to cap it off by winning Hammer of the Year. What's it like for a player winning, the fans award basically? How does it make you feel?
For me, it was really special, and continues to be to this day. I had a lot of ups and downs during my time at Newcastle, and I felt I needed that change. As I said before, I wasn't quite sure what the future held for me, given Shea Given and Kenny Dalglish that worked together at Blackburn.
Yeah,
but then coming into Newcastle again, you're not quite sure what to expect. And it's football is a tough place to be. You know, fans have a certain expectation that um, you deliver the kind of football, you deliver the kind of professionalism, and in terms of West Ham, you deliver the kind of excitement that those fans demand from their
Yeah,
teams.
yeah.
And as you rightly say, oftentimes, especially clubs like West Ham, it's not about the results. It's not just about winning. It's about playing Ron Greenwood style of football and delivering what fans expect and respecting the chicken run for who they are and how long they've been tuning out to see West Ham play. Whether West Ham have been good, bad, or indifferent, they've showed up and they've had their voices heard. And you have to respect that. So coming in, it's sometimes tough, it's sometimes uncertain. And then, you know, so for me, it had that same uncertainty. I think what helped me very early on is our first game of that season, we went away to Sheffield Wednesday. I kept a clean sheet. We won 1-0. Ian Wright with a late goal. Our first home game of that season was Manchester United. And this was right off the back of the 98 World Cup with David Beckham and the fans and their reaction to him. And that was the focus. So it was almost good for me in that the focus wasn't about the team. The focus was about somebody else. So we could just go out there and play our game without that kind of expectation, without that kind of uncertainty. And I kept a clean sheet. We drew 0-0 with Manchester United. And this is the United that went on to do the treble, 1999, right? West Ham had just signed Dwight York. They did the treble in 1999, kept a clean sheet against them and drew 0-0. And to this day, I still remember leaving Upton Park after that game, which, let me just say, it's a baptism of fire like I don't think there is any equal in football. Because if you remember the old Upton Park, the players used to park in this little small parking lot right next to what was it? The bowling was the pub.
Yeah.
What was the pub called right there?
Bowling,
the bowling.
Yeah.
You come out of there. If you haven't played well, that is a tough drive. That is a tough drive because fans are outside the gate. There's no quick escape. So for me, coming out after that game, and I played well. That was, you know, fans came out the pub and applauded me, and all of a sudden, I felt like, right, I can play my football now. I've gotten that, you know, that the initial cobwebs and the first couple of games nerves out of the way. I can just settle down and play my football now, and it became a whole lot easier from there.
Yeah, and as I said, and then that culminated in just
kept growing. That's right.
I mean, you got to think all these fantastic, you know, I mean, in terms of, you know, the goals and the skill and the stuff. But for you to win Hammer of the Year that year as well is just the icing on the cake, isn't it? Really, for you. I mean,
it will always be a special achievement for me. And a season that I look back on with a lot of fun.
Yeah, because you go through the history. Not many keepers have won Hammer of the Year.
Not a lot.
Not many. So
yeah,
it's a fantastic achievement. And obviously, you know, then the next year, obviously, yeah, I'm not going to go through it sort of season by season. But obviously, you broke your leg, and then, you know, it's sort of struggles like. And then obviously, you went, and then you came back. Shaka.
Yeah.
How did that happen? How did it come? Yeah, you came back. What was the process?
I don't mind touching on the other seasons because I think they're those stories to be told as well. Right? So the following season, I thought I started really well, and we were playing well, and going, and then I broke my leg against Bradford City. That was in February of so that would have been 2000. Yeah. And, you know, little known fact, a week before that game, so in the week to that game, Harry pulled me and said, listen, I'm, you know, really happy with how you're playing, with how things have gone. We need to sit down and talk about a new contract. And set a meeting up for Harry Peter Story and my agent, Jonathan Barnett. It was supposed to be that Monday. Oh. And I broke my leg on the Saturday. I was actually supposed to be flying to the US to join the Trinidad and Tobago national team to play in the Gold Cup here in the US. Right after that game, had my suitcases in the car because the plan was to leave straight from that game and head straight to Heathrow to fly out to, I think we were based, I can't remember, I think it was either New York or LA. Anyway, I can't remember. The Trinidad team was based out in the States. Had my bags in the car, had to go to hospital because I broke my leg. And that was the end of any contract talks. The following season, I came back way too early. Our first game of that 2000-2001 season, we were away to Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and I still remember, like, I would be running and my ankle would give out to me every so often without any kind of forewarning. I remember warming up for that game and just running across the top of my box and my ankle just giving out and I take a tumble. And now I'm going to be playing Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. This is no way for me ready to be going to that game. But like everything else, I'm giving it my best. You ask me to play, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to give you my best. I can do no more. And we went out there, and memory serves me, we were embarrassed. I think I conceded 4. But that season, as a result, never got going for me because I just came back too early and just kept picking up injuries. Never got going for the team. Harry was eventually replaced. Glenn Roeder came in. And then going into the last game of my season, Glenn Roeder pulls me pre-season and says, "Listen, I'm about to sign David James. In all honesty, I don't expect you to play a single game this season. You know, David James is just that good, that consistent." And then David goes and he injured himself playing for England. And Glenn Roeder has to know, after telling me he doesn't expect me to play a single game, you can imagine the mood I'm in and how that's affected me. He's now saying, well, you know, I need to play. And Russ, I say this almost embarrassingly, I had clocked out. You know, once a manager loses a player, it's hard to get him back, and I struggled. And then I joined Harry at Portsmouth. We got promoted at Pompey the same season that West Ham were coming, so we swapped places. We under Glenn Roeder, so it was a little bit of a vindication, certainly for me and Harry, which we spoke about. We stayed up. And then a new manager came in at Pompey, Alan Perrin. I just didn't fit what he was doing. And he told me the day before, so my time at Pompey, one of the board directors came to me probably around March and said, "We'll be offering you a player coaches deal at the end of the season. We want you to stay on as player, goalkeeper, coach." So I was like, fine. You know, at this point, I'm 34, 35 years old. I'm thinking this is perfect. And then the Friday before the last game of the season, Alan Perrin comes to me and says, "Listen, we're not keeping you after all. You'll have to find another club." So now this just throws me in all kinds of places, you know. And then all of a sudden, you know, so I go through the entire summer not knowing what I'm doing. I've got a wife and at that point 4 kids. Not knowing what's to come. Pre-season comes, and all of a sudden I get this call from Alan Pardew saying, "Listen, I've got Roy Carroll here. I brought him in from Manchester United. He's going to be our number 1, but I want somebody to test him and keep him honest." I thought, I can do that. I'm up for that challenge to keep Roy Carroll honest. And that's what I did. You know, I came in, I played in the League Cup. As needed, but Roy would play. He'd pick up a little injury every now and then, so I'd get a couple of games. And then he got injured. I think I might have played the 3rd round of the FA Cup anyway, and then he came in. And then Roy got injured and was out for a few weeks, and we went on this cup run, and we were playing well. And you know, the old adage, you can't change a winning team, and that was it. So I just kept playing, and we just kept winning. And you know, we ended up finishing that season in 9th, but we were better than that. You know, once we started going deep in the cup, we knew we were safe. We knew, you know, we're going to finish top 4, and so results in the league started to slip. So 9th wasn't a fair representation of how good we were, but we were going well in the cup, and we just kept going, and culminating in that FA Cup final.
Exactly. Yeah. And talking about that, I mean, you're probably bored to death talking about Shaq, to be honest, but what's it like playing an FA Cup final? I think you're the first person no, it's not, tell a lie, but you're the first in the 2006. No, it's not. No, it's the second one. Sorry. No, anyway, the first goalkeeper. That's the first goalkeeper I've spoken to. What's it like playing an FA Cup final?
It is. I'll be honest, Ross. It's a thing of boyhood dreams. I grew up in Trinidad and Tobago, where you had two channels on TV. This is before cable TV. I'm aging myself here, but this is before cable TV. And one of the shows that I watched religiously as a kid growing up was called Road to Wembley, which is all about the FA Cup, and the stories and the history around the FA Cup is not just for the English or for the British. No. That's a global competition, and that resonates with football fans on all four corners of the planet. So it was a special place for me. I was part of the Newcastle team that played in the 98 FA Cup final. But this was just before I joined West Ham. But she started. I was on the bench for that.
Yeah.
But now to be playing. It was everything you talk about, from little things like getting fitted for suits and all the hype that goes around it, and the excitement, and I mean that year was at the Millennium Stadium in Wales. It's just so much about it that captures the imagination, and it lived up to all of that.
Yeah, it did. It was, I mean, I was there. Obviously, it was our third year in a row we'd gone to Cardiff, because obviously we had two playoffs beforehand.
Right.
And it was one of those. It's the weirdest game I've ever had, because you walk out, and I've never had a situation where the away team's gone to away supporters. They end up shaking our hand as we're crossing each other in Cardiff, going, right. Should have won that. Should have won that. It's too fucking right.
Yeah.
And obviously, you saved one of the penalties, didn't you? Is it Hippier's penalty you saved in there?
Well, one of them. I felt even in penalty shootouts, a lot of it is about momentum.
Yeah.
We had the lead twice, I believe, and then was it Cisse scored the first equalizer, and then Gerrard the second, and then Gerrard in injury time at the end of the game, and then in extra time, I remember Pep Reina producing this incredible save. I mean, it was phenomenal, which sometimes gets lost in the talk around that FA Cup final.
I agree.
And then after that, we'd already made 3 substitutions. Marlon Harewood twisted his ankle really badly, and he couldn't move. He could barely stand up. But we couldn't make a substitution because we'd already made all 3. So he's just on the field and really just standing on the field. And then somehow he's standing 6 yards out, and the ball falls to him in acres of space. Of all people, the one person who can't, and to this day, my heart breaks, because I can still see it, where he can't even move, and just has to throw a leg at it. And anybody else on the field, including myself, might very well have, it was that easy a chance. But and I know, because I was in the dressing room afterwards with Marlon, and I know how bad his injury was. So your heart breaks for Marlon, who'd given so much, and as you said, had come through playoffs and with West Ham. So it was tough. And then kind of going into penalties, you felt so many things at that point went against us. Momentum really was with Liverpool, and so it proved.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, it was. I mean, it's one of those. It's probably the last classic FA Cup final we've had. I mean, they tend to be quite boring affairs now. Do you know what I mean? It's like they put them at 5:30 in the UK. that was the
Right.
last one, wasn't it? I mean, everyone still talks about that when they talk about the great modern day. And I still see. Where I was positioned, I was right in that goal, and I remember watching. We had Anton on the other day. And he was talking about that as well, and it's just really funny. But but it's part of the fabric of West Ham, and one day we'll be back. One day we'll be back, Shaq. One day, man.
Yeah, and I'll be there.
And you'll be there. And you'll be there.
Yeah, you can call on me being there.
Right, cool. Let's go and talk about your 11, because we've spoken about some players, and I want to get your grip on your 11. So the whole idea is, from a fan's perspective, they pick their 11 based on players that they have been alive to see. So it just means that I can't put Bobby Moore in my team because I never saw him. So that's fair enough. Otherwise, people would just pay lip service, wouldn't they, rather than players? And for the players, we pick. We ask you to pick the players that meant something or you enjoyed playing with in your time at West Ham, and obviously that's across both times, which is lovely. You've got a nice spread. I've sort of spoken to some people, like we interviewed Luke Chadwick. He was only there for a season, bless him, but he still picked a team because it was like So and obviously you can pick yourself, Shaka. You're allowed to pick yourself.
Great, all right.
So
can I offer myself a contract as well? Can I?
We interviewed Tony Gale, and Tony Gale put himself as captain, penalty taker, free kick taker, manager and first team coach and director of football. So it's like he's just taken over the place. Right. So who should we have in goal? Are we playing the Hislop in goal? That's the question.
Yes, I'll
of course.
You give me liberty to play myself. I'm going to put myself in goal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, not even going to question that because.
All right.
Proper, I'll be honest, bit of a fanboy of yours, Shaq, but
no problem.
Yeah, no worries. Because I remember you used to live around Loughton way, didn't you, when you was at West Ham?
I did.
I used to live in Loughton as well, and I used to see you because I'm not being funny. You're not like you're quite not inconspicuous. You're this 6 foot, 6'7" guy walking around in Safeways in Loughton. I was like, oh my god, Shaq Hislop, when you could actually see your head almost over the shops. But yeah, no, it was great. Yeah. Anyway, so right, Shaq's in goal. Let's go. What formation? Do you want to play 4-4-2?
I've gone 4-3-1-1-1, if I can call it that, is my team.
Love it.
A little bit of a spoiler alert here, Russ. All my players are from my first spell. I'm going to apologize to everybody in the second spell right now. But as I said, that was the most fun I had playing football. And I think, especially when you see the names, I thoroughly enjoy playing.
I totally get it. Guys. So if Lionel Scaloni is watching, you're not in.
Yeah, sorry, Lionel. Sorry about that.
Right, let's go left back then. Who we got left back then, Shax?
I've gone Stuart Pearce left back. No, I played with Pearcey at both Newcastle and West Ham, and at times he played centre back. But I picked him as my left back this time around. As good a defender as I've played with anywhere, anytime. I loved playing with Pearce. He was tough, but I loved playing with him.
Yeah, and a nice guy off the pitch, by all accounts.
Very nice guy. Yeah.
Right. Pearcey's in. Okay, let's go right back. Let's go the other side then, Shaq. So we got right back.
Right back. I've gone for Sebastien Schemmel, who was as attacking and got through more work on that right hand side than almost anybody I've ever played with, and I will reveal the almost a little bit later on. But again, Shem, just for his work rate, makes it on the right hand side for me.
Yeah, great shout. Yeah, and did you play with him when he was at Portsmouth? Did you play together at Portsmouth as well? No.
At least I don't think so. But
I know he went to Portsmouth. He may have missed each other, but Schemmel's in. Let's go centre halves. Who's your
two centre halves? Rio Ferdinand. I don't think I need to explain that at all. Best centre back I played with, bar none. Other centre back, Eyal Berkovic. So I've gone for two Pearces in my team. I don't think I had a better understanding with any defender during the course of my career anywhere than the one I had with Eyal Berkovic.
Wow.
I could read his mind, and at times I felt he could read mine. So it was a really good fit, and to have Pearcey in all my teams, every team.
Yeah, and he was in my 11, Shax. So
Okay, there you go. There
that's
you
it.
go.
We're bonding here. Across the pond, we're bonding. For those you don't, obviously, Shax is on East Coast America at the moment. So
That's right.
just in case anyone wonders where you are, so being ESPN and stuff, I think people assume, but I thought I'd better mention that. Right, okay, we'll put Ian Pearson. Just carry on. You just go through the team as you want to, Shax.
I'll go with my right hand side midfielder. I've gone for Frank Lampard. Again, another one that doesn't need much of an explanation. Maybe the only explanation is why I've stuck him out on the right. I've just had to make space for others. My defensive midfielder is Steve Lomas, a captain in my first spell. As good a leader as I've played with and alongside, and I thought he was integral to our successes in that first season. My left-hand side midfielder, I've gone with Trevor Sinclair. And when I was talking about Sebastien Schemmel and work rate, second only to Trev. And again, I've stuck Trev out to the left because I've had to make space. And to be honest, Trev played everywhere. I think the only position he didn't play for West Ham was in goal. And I mean that sincerely. He played everywhere. So I've stuck Trev out on the left-hand side. So that's my 4 and my 3, and I've gone for 1-1-1. I've gone for Eyal Berkovic.
Oh, brilliant.
I have not seen a better passer of the ball than Eyal Berkovic. He could thread the eye of a needle with his passing. So again, makes every single team. Yeah. Another player that makes every single team I'm going to pick, Paolo Di Canio.
Yeah.
Another that needs absolutely no explanation.
Sorry, Shax. What was it like? What was it like with Paolo training?
It was outstanding, and
really,
a lot of people point to that goal that he scored against Wimbledon. Was it? It was Wimbledon, right?
Yeah.
I've seen him do that countless times in training.
Really,
countless times. It was not a fluke. It was not something that just came to him in the spur of the moment. Paolo would do this consistently on the training ground in Chadwell Heath. So to see him do it almost didn't raise much of an eyebrow for me because, when you do, in a match situation, of course, it's different. But I'd seen him do it so many times before. His execution and everything was just that good. He was technically gifted a player as I'd worked with. He was a little bit crazy. That comes up with party territory. I remember one preseason we played at Plymouth. We beat Plymouth 6-1. And for some reason, and Plymouth scored late on. I can't remember what it was. It's preseason. You make a whole heap of changes. And he is in the dressing room after the game, throwing water bottles and going crazy for some reason that nobody knew and nobody bothered. Everybody just kind of carried on like, yep, that's Paolo. That kind of summed Paolo up. You didn't know he was a storm, and you weren't quite sure which way the wind was going to blow. But again, that's Paolo.
Yeah. All right, we'll put Paolo in, and then the next carry on shot. The next
and
one.
Then my last player, out and out striker, Johnny Hartson.
Yeah.
You could count on John Hartson to score goals. John Hartson, I need John Hartson in my team as well because he's the only player I could beat in the preseason running. Once the team started running preseason, there's only ever one person who's behind me. So I need John Hartson at the very least, so I don't come last in our preseason.
He's looking trim. No, we interviewed Johnny the other day. He's looking trim. Lockdown's been good to him, man. But
listen, Johnny. Listen, as much as I poke fun at him, I have all the time in the day for John Hartson. He was as good a guy as they came, as good a finisher, as ruthless. And again, just fitted so well into who we were, that West Ham team, in terms of having fun. I have all the time in the day for Johnny Hartson, all of it.
Yeah, and to be honest, all those players. The thing is, like when you played, Jax, it was. I mean, all those players there, they're most of my players. It's like, it's really, but it's true. You sort of, it's all about how you enjoyed, and obviously you clearly enjoyed your time, particularly more in the first spell. Obviously, the second spell was successful as well, but that first spell was particularly. And
I mean, it's as good a team as that was, Russ. I mean, some of the names that don't make it. Ian Wright, as I mentioned, Davos Sucre.
Yeah.
Who, from Real Madrid, he doesn't get into that 11. Julian Dix, who albeit only played sparingly because of his injury, but West Ham legend through and through, he doesn't get in. Mark Vivian Foy doesn't get in. The names are endless as how good they were and still can't get into this team that
can't get to the Hislop 11. I mean,
it's a tough 11, Russ. It's a tough 11 to break into.
I mean, you got a good balance as well. You got a few, you got a few hard men as well. If it gets a bit tasty, you've got a lot of skill. And I could just see the Hartson was that Berkovic Hartson connection that
unbelievable.
That was amazing, amazing time.
It really was.
Time.
Really was.
Shax, man, look, I won't take you up much longer because I know how much you're sweating because you haven't got any AC in your apartment. But honestly, it's like bucket list time, to be honest, interviewing you. And I really, really appreciate you taking the time. And everyone will, obviously, because everyone loves, it's the ex-players stuff people really love is finding out about all those stories. But thank you so much for your time, Shaq. Really, really appreciate it. I said I'd be about half an hour, so about right.
That's perfect. It's been a pleasure taking this little walk down memory lane again with you, Russ. It really was a special time, and reliving it always brings back such.
And it comes across so well in the way your face lit up when you was talking about that time. It's just lovely to see, particularly from a long-suffering West Ham fan. It's lovely to see that. And obviously, thank you to everyone for watching. You know what to do: like, share, subscribe. And until next time, from me and Shaka, take care, everyone. Stay safe, and we'll see you all again soon. And there's only one way to finish. Cover your irons. Come, Shaq. Cover your irons.
There we go.
Yes, it. Take care, man. See you soon. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.